Hello, my name is Adam, and in this short video, I want to talk about a key linguistics language learning concept that is pretty fundamental for your long-term success. So this is something that you really have to understand and start to use and study for in order to succeed. And it's lexical chunks. Lexical chunks is based off the work started by Noam Chomsky, but it's expanded and expanded. And what is a lexical chunk? So a lexical chunk, it means a piece of language. That's what a chunk means, a piece. So it's a piece of lexis, a piece of the words or the language that we have. But we're very familiar with this because we use it all the time. For example, or how are you? Or please come in. Or if I were you, I would. Or I was going to, but to go home. But we say to go to a supermarket. So when we speak our native language, we are not using grammar to speak, okay? So we are simply repeating what we've heard thousands and thousands of times. And this is why, and then the grammar will come along afterwards, like an autopsy to divide up. This treats it as a dead animal. Oh, this is what we do. This is the rule. And the grammar books are very, very large, hundreds of pages for most languages, but they have many, many exceptions and they can't explain what's really happening. What is happening is that we are just repeating what we hear. We don't think about grammar. We just don't use it. Grammar can come later. You can test, you can check your grammar, but you're basically checking against the most common usage, the standard usage of a language. Okay? So when we actually do that, when we use a language and we want to check what we say things like, it sounds right. What does that mean? Well, it means we're checking in our database of all the times we've used that phrase. Yeah, that sounds right. We would say that. Great. So real language beats grammar, okay? And that's the reality about how you learn your original language and how we speak fluently every language, okay? And we're going to come into this with that phrase I've got here. So we just don't say to go to home for the simple reason I've never heard it. If I hear it's from a non-native speaker, they might say this, but even then, the vast majority of occasions, they say to go home. So I say to go home, okay? And then, of course, that's interesting now because you can have regional variations. People say in this region this way, and people in different regions say it this way, and it sounds right to them. That's what language is. In fact, language, even historically, what Shakespeare and Dante, they speak a different language than us because as we go forward and people invent new phrases, some of those new phrases just sound better or sound more interesting or more useful or more precise. And we copy those phrases. And then those phrases eventually get copied enough time and they become standardized. That's why in English we have use the word orchestra, or we use the word pizza from Italian, or we use words from other languages all the time. We're incorporating them because they represent a great idea. We don't have a good idea, so let's do it. Anyway, that's how the languages evolve. So let's go back to the business here. So let's have a look at this statement here. He said he was coming to dinner tonight. So the average student of English would see that and would say, well, okay, so there's 8 words, okay, 8 words. And then there's 3 kind of ideas. So he said he was coming to dinner tonight. And then there's one big idea. So he said he was coming to dinner tonight. So in a typical student mind, they're going to do 8 pieces of work, the words, 3 of the groups, that's 11, plus 1 for the whole idea. So you do 12 pieces of work. Now, a native speaker, and you would do this in your own language, doesn't do that. A native speaker does not work at the individual word level. So he doesn't do individual words, or she doesn't do individuals. He said he was coming to dinner tonight. That's the way they would speak, and that's the way they would process. So that's 3 ideas plus 1 big idea. That's 4 pieces of work. 12 for the student, 4 for the native speaker. So the native speaker is 3 times faster in processing the language. This is why if you sit down watch a film with me and the film's going forward and people are talking, like this, and then I'm there on the phone to my friend, I'm doing the ironing, I'm cooking, I'm reading, I'm looking at my phone, whatever I'm doing, I can process the language. You're there concentrating and going forward like this, you're trying to process the language that you're coming across. It's a completely different experience for you, okay? And in fact, in films, it's interesting. When you get to about 20 minutes from the end of the film, they will have a little monologue for you to kind of to summarize before the big end. So in the film, you're okay. You're following the dialogue. It's okay. I'm okay. It's quite slow. And then this bit near the end, they start to have a lot of information. A big, long monologue, blah, 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 blah. And that's when you go, what? I'm not following. Stop the video. This is because the speed of your processing is just not fast enough. It's another problem with listening. I speak in other videos. Now, how can we solve this? The solution here is reading. 1 page of a book will have about 200 plus perfect lexical chunks for you to read and absorb, and then read on different pages and repeat numerous times in an input way. Very important for language learning. That then will allow you to be able to process the language in chunks, and will allow you eventually to speak in those chunks as well. Not create language via grammar, but simply repeating the lexical chunks that you are very familiar with. It's a key concept, especially when you get to intermediate and above, up to advanced levels of learning any language. Thanks very much for your time. See you soon. Bye now.